So this song is a song I haven't done in quite some time, but it's always been a fun one for me. I think I've seen every person in this room at this point, but Josh again, this is Deanna, and this is Elsie. Hi. So several years ago, it was like a Friday night. Deanna was out with some friends, and I was at our little home in Florida at the time. And I just had a guitar out, a Bible out, and I was in Exodus chapter 3, and just this moment where, with the burning bush, where the Lord tells Moses, "I am," and where we get this word Yahweh from. And I picked up a guitar, and I really just wrote this chorus first, and I was like, I don't even know what I'm going to do with this. I'd already just released a record, but I figured, hey, maybe this is just a song between me and the Lord, and that was kind of it. Well, that week we had plans to go to I think Disney, right, or Epcot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let me tell you what I don't love doing: amusement parks. So we were going there, and my best friend, his name's Sean, was with us, and we get to the park. Deanna's family is there.
We all had 3-day passes. We had used 2 when we all were using our last day.
Yeah. So we get to the ticket gate, and they're like, "It's $1 million for you and your friend to go to Disney." And I was like, guess what I'm not doing? Spending the money to do, I don't remember what it was.
Don't wait till you're at the gate to get a ticket. They mark it up so much.
It was so expensive. And I looked at Deanna, I was like, please, for the love of the Lord, let me leave. And then so Deanna was gracious, and my friend and I got to leave, and we went to go see a movie at Universal Studios. They have like Boardwalk. I don't know if you've ever been there, but it's this kind of outdoor area outside the park that's free, just a bunch of like shopping and restaurants and things like that. There's this giant movie theater, and the very first Avengers movie had just come out, and we were like, we should go see Avengers in like IMAX or something, and we go and see this movie. Well, at the time, we've been traveling full time with music, and I'll tell you right now, if a phone number called me and I wasn't familiar with the number, I was going to pick it up, because it might be someone who's booking us to come to their church or whatever it may be. So we're in the movie, and my phone rings, and I look down, and I'm like, I don't know this phone number. I'm going to run out and answer it. And I run out into the lobby of this movie theater, and all of a sudden I hear, "Hey, this is JR from 88.1, and this is like the largest Christian radio station in Florida and Georgia. And we're calling you on behalf of a competition we're doing called Cell Phone Superstar, and we'd love to know what song you're singing today." And I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about, man. And I literally have no idea what is happening, and I feel like I'm being punked at this point, you know. But so little did I know that there was this competition on the radio, and I did not sign up for it. Deanna's best friend signed me up for it. And I did not know this. So here I am in the lobby of Universal Studios movie theater, and all I can think to do is just sing my favorite song. So I sing this song called From the Inside Out, and I have no idea why I'm doing this at this point, because I don't know what's happening. Long story short, the winner of this competition was then going to a studio with a really well-known producer to record one song. And it was just amazing, because I'd just written this one song a few days earlier. And then a month later, I ended up winning this competition called Cell Phone Superstar and being able to record this song. And this is the only song that I've ever written that ever went to Christian radio. And I got to record this with a guy named Conrad Johnson. And yeah, that's just kind of it. This random cell phone competition. And the funny thing is, most of the people who were in this competition for like a month, they just kept answering their phone, and they were like at the office. It was like the same place, but we were traveling the whole month. So like one time I was in a back alley in Miami. Like I was singing Amazing Grace in a back alley. It was hilarious. Another one, I was doing like a missions night at a Chick-fil-A, and I was literally like going through the songs, and then my phone rang, and I had to sing a song at Chick-fil-A, and they're playing the radio station in the Chick-fil-A. It was amazing. So, yeah. So, but this was the song that we got to release for it, and I got to sing some songs, buddy.
Grab it and go sit down. You pick it up.
So this song's called Yahweh. lays them to rest. The oceans fit inside your hands. You've counted every grain of sand. All creation made to confess that you're the same and you never change. Yahweh, Yahweh, you're the God of our fathers, the saints and of the martyrs. Yahweh, Yahweh, you're the God who came before us with a plan that will restore us. Yahweh. This part was always a little funky. You're the God who keeps his promises, never to abandon us. How lovely is the one Son of Man. You sent your only Son for us, laid his life down on the cross for us. He's risen to the Father's right hand. And you're the same, no, you never change. Yahweh, Yahweh, you're the God of our fathers, the saints and of the martyrs. Yahweh, Yahweh, you're the God who came before us with a plan that will restore us. Oh, I will live for you, 'cause you died for me. The lifting of my hands, a sacrifice. I will live for you, 'cause you died for me. The lifting of my hands, a sacrifice. Yahweh, Yahweh, you're the God of our fathers, the saints and of the martyrs. Yahweh, Yahweh, and you're the God who came before us with a plan that will restore us. Yahweh. Yeah. Oh, thank you. So I figured I'd repeat one song from the concert on Friday. If you were there, I apologize for being redundant, but the rest of these will all be new. But this is a song that I don't know. I shared on Friday. It's meant a lot to me for a few years, and really was a song that came as organically as a song could come. I've been going through a season a few years back where I just wasn't feeling well, and I didn't know why. There'd be moments where I'd be meeting with someone from our church, and all of a sudden, like I would feel even my eyesight, it would start caving in, and I was like, what is happening to me? I didn't know what was going on, and this kept going on for several months until there was a morning, probably about 3:00 in the morning, where I woke up and I thought that I was having a heart attack, and Deanna was out of town, and I called 911. I didn't know what to do, and I ended up in the hospital. And then about 8 weeks of tests later, I realized that I had been suffering with pretty severe anxiety for that season, but I didn't know it. I was not cognitive of it at all. I mean, I think my body was just saying, you've got to slow down. Like you've got to hit pause. And I worked at the time I was working at a really large church. I was in full-time seminary. There was just a lot going on. We were still traveling about 16 weeks a year with music and ministry. And So it was a season where I just kind of had to pull back on a lot of things. But in the midst of that season, I already had some dates lined up to do some writing in Nashville. And there was a moment where I was driving to Nashville to do some writing, and it was really late at night. I remember it started snowing, and I had this idea of a chorus that just said, "The voice that calmed the stormy seas calms the voices haunting me." And that was really the line that kind of was the thesis of the whole song, if you will. There's a thesis of a song. That was it. And the next day, I got to the studio with a guy named Andrew Bergfold, who he's in a band called We the Kingdom. And I was supposed to write with him, but he was like 20 minutes late. He had a guitar on the wall, and I just picked it up, and I started writing and came up with a melody for this song. And when he got there, I was like, "Hey, I know we're supposed to record today, but I'd love to just play this for you and see what you think." And as soon as I played him the chorus, he was like, "We need to finish that song right now." And I love this. He had this idea of, he was just saying, like, in times when he feels overwhelmed, that oftentimes he feels like a shipwreck with a bunch of debris, and how difficult is this going to be to put this all back together? And then that just kind of sparked what these verses were going to be. But this is a song called Reminding, which is going to be really hard to sing with something in my throat. I don't know what's in my throat. Probably coffee. Should drink a lot more coffee, right? I've literally had coffee and a chocolate chip cookie today, so I'm doing well. Oh no.
Oh,
But that stayed.
Let's put it up on the chair.
Yeah, that's fallen off a few times now.
dear.
So this song's called Reminding.
In the middle of the wreckage, God, when my life is the debris. In the middle of the broken parts is a tapestry of peace. 'Cause you find beauty in the broken. When I feel my past is creeping in, I hear the voices in my head. In a world that tries to drown you out, I will hold to all you said, and that you qualify the broken, the voice that calls the stormy seas, calms the voices haunting me, and I know that you are with me. I just need reminding. When my eyes are on my weaknesses and lies become belief, and the words I've used to hurt myself, I believe you can redeem. 'Cause you justify the broken, the voice that calmed the stormy seas, calms the voices haunting me, and I know that you are with me. I've heard you say through every age that you won't leave us. Thank you, Jesus. And come what may, you never change. Yes, you won't leave us. Thank you, Jesus. The voice that calmed the stormy seas, calms the voices haunting me, and I know that you are with me. Yes, the voice that calmed the stormy seas, calms the voices haunting me. promises are whispers, God, and your word begins to fade. When the world begins to veil my eyes, I'll remember what you say, and that you died to save the broken. Yeah.
Do you have that recorded?
So I don't, oh, you're welcome. There's a version of it on YouTube though. So yeah, which is actually the way that it was like originally written. It's like with my guitar player who wrote all these amazing guitar parts, and it's really pretty. So if you type in like reminding Joshua Price, it'll pop up on there, but it is recorded. It just hasn't been released yet. So I'm excited to eventually. But yeah, you guys have any questions, any thoughts, any?
Well, it ties in with something my daughter's going through, and she posted a saying about the Japanese recognize the beauty in brokenness. And when they have a precious pot or whatever that's been broken and they are going to put it back together, they do it lined in gold epoxy, and to emphasize that there's beauty in brokenness.
Wow.
And that fits with your
Yeah. Wow.
chorus line.
Yeah. You know, I feel like today, I mean, you know, maybe all generations, but today maybe it's just social media has exacerbated it so much, but anxiety, depression, I mean, there's just so much of that around us. I mean, if it isn't someone in this room that's affected by it, you know someone who is, and probably deeply. I mean, I know that in my family, there's several people who struggle with bipolar, or my mom is schizoaffective, depression. I mean, there's just a lot of that going on. And again, I don't know if it's just like social media exacerbates some of those things. And obviously there's some that it's chemical imbalance for sure. But I think there's also just comparison and looking around, and even like a comparison in the sense of, well, they have more than me or better than me. Because social media, if we're being honest, it's really just a highlight reel, right? It's never really honest. I mean, there's maybe some glimmers of honesty, but it's the highlight reel of things. And, you know, this Friday we did the concert and I left afterwards and I went to, is it Steamworks, the name of the place? I went to Steamworks. They had one seat in the whole place. And I went and sat over there, and an hour and a half later, I just talked to this guy next to me who, it was just a heart-wrenching story and how quickly he wanted to share his life. But right out of the gate, he asked me what I did. And I told him, I was like, well, here we go, right? I told him I'm a pastor in Huntsville, Alabama. And he begins to share this story of like, well, I used to be a Christian. And I was like, oh, well, I'm interested to hear more. So he still remembers the sermon that was preached when he became a Christian, which was pretty remarkable. Really, because it was very clear this guy probably hasn't read his Bible in like 20 years. I mean, he's very open about that. And he was like, I remember the pastor saying, reading out of Genesis 3, and Adam and Eve have sinned, and the Lord comes into the garden and he says, where are you? And he said, I still remember the pastor saying to me, God knew where they were, but he gave them a chance to come out of hiding. And I just remember sitting there for a second and thinking, this is interesting. This is before I've even heard the rest of his story. And then he goes on to say that in 1998, his son committed suicide. He was 14 years old. And his name is Jared. And this guy said from that day forth, he's not stepped foot in a church. And this guy's weeping while sharing this for over an hour. And finally, I got his phone number, and the last thing I got to say to him, which I was so thankful for, was just to say, man, I feel like the Lord is calling to you, and you just got to come out of hiding. And but just to hear his story and how that's just the depression and that he's gone through since then, and what led his son to this moment, it was just heart-wrenching to hear this guy. And so I think, anytime there's a song like that or stories like that, it resonates, because I think we've all been there. Even if we don't suffer with depression or anxiety regularly, there's definitely seasons of it, right? Where it's heightened. And I think COVID exacerbated a lot too, because we were isolated, and there's something about proximity and being together that is supposed to happen. Like, I tell people all the time, like, I know that I get paid to do ministry, but I also believe even outside of that, if you could push that away for a moment, that the Sunday gathering is so integral to our lives, like being together and in proximity, not forsaking the gathering, as the author of Hebrews says. But yeah, anyways,
I think fear has a lot to do with the anxiety too.
yeah, I agree. Yeah,
There's just so much fear
yeah.
of everything.
Well, and fear sells, right? I mean, like it's sad. It's sold to us all the time, but
Isn't it one of the most repetitive phrases in the scriptures? Do not fear.
Yeah, right. Do not be afraid.
Oh, I see that. Well, I feel like that's a good segue into this next song. This song was one of the first songs that I wrote as a Christian many years ago, and it's based off of Psalm 46, "Be still and know that I am God." But not just that passage, but that God is our refuge and strength and ever-present help in times of trouble. The phrase that always gets me is that we will not fear though the earth gives way. We will not fear though the earth gives way. Can you imagine? Like, I mean, this psalmist is painting this picture as the mountains are thrown into the hearts of the sea, that we can look around us and not fear, even though it's all fading away. And then gives this juxtaposition of that, and then the heavens. That's what happens like the second half of this psalm. And then it all comes back to be still and know that I'm God. But yeah, this was one of the first songs that I had written.
That's my favorite song.
Oh, yeah. So this song is called "Be Still."
God is our refuge and strength. We will not fear though the earth gives way. God is our refuge and strength. Nations exalt you, and our hearts can't contain your touch. Can calm the raging seas, and your voice can make the fighting cease, in your word give strength unto the weak, and you are all we need. You are almighty, and you say to us, God, you say to us, be still, be still, be still, be still, and know that I am God. Be still. we, you are almighty, and God, you say to us, yes, you say to us, be still, be still, be still, be still. Know that I am God. We are still, and we know that you are God. We are still, yes, we know that you are God. We are still, and yes, we know that you are God. Yes, you are God, and you are good, and we are still.
Is that really your daughter's favorite? She probably has
No,
lots
she was
of
singing
them.
Frozen over there. I wish it was me. I'm not her favorite. No, no. No, Anna and Elsa are her favorite. And actually my daughter's hit the phase where like everything's her favorite now, right? Like that's my favorite cookie. I'm like, I think you'd eat all of them. So I don't know if you really have a favorite yet. So, yeah, well, any thoughts, any questions, want to have an open forum here as well, so.
I keep thinking about your interaction with that man in
Yeah.
Steamworks.
Yeah,
I mean, what a God thing was that.
Yeah.
That he sat down by you.
yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
He sent something. I was a librarian, and I'd be in the library or somewhere else, and people come up and ask me, they didn't know who I was.
Yeah.
Questions for a librarian, how did you know?
mhm,
But he sent something.
yeah, I texted him yesterday, I didn't hear back, but figured I'd reach out and follow up, so I'll follow up again too. But yeah, no, I was, I wish I could say it was a surprise, because it's just, I mean, like,
happens a lot.
yeah, it happens a lot, yeah,
But it's a gift.
yeah,
What a
and,
nice gift.
yeah, it is a
Yeah,
gift,
yeah.
and probably a little bit of irony is, it's usually like in the moments where I tell Deanna, like, hey, I just need to go somewhere by
Yeah,
myself, because I've been around people nonstop. I'm significantly more introverted than Deanna is. And then within like 30 seconds of sitting down, I was like, this isn't gonna be a time by myself. I mean, like, as soon as I sat down, the guy looked at me. Look, I'm not a football guy, just so everyone's aware, but he looks at me and he's like, anyone ever tell you you look like Jake Plummer? And I was like, nope. And he's like, you don't even know who Jake Plummer is, do you? I was like, he's a football player, but I don't know anything about football. And I knew quickly it was gonna be not me sitting there by myself. I mean, I came with headphones. I was ready to, like, yeah. So, but
So I guess that just emphasizes the importance of interruptions.
yeah. Well, and
In our life.
yeah, I agree. It's so funny. So one of the first sermon series I ever remember being a Christian, like being a worship, I'd just gotten hired by a church, contracted. I just led worship on Wednesday nights for their student ministry. And it may have been the first or second sermon series they ever did, was called Life Interrupted. And I still remember it.
Oh, my God.
And I, at the time, like, did not want to be a worship leader. It was just not what I wanted to do. It freaked me out every time I got on stage. I thought I was going to throw up every morning. I knew that I had to do it. And sorry to be graphic there, but and this student pastor would not leave me alone about it. I mean, like, he just was adamant that I should be leading on Wednesdays. Well, they did this series called Life Interrupted. And I remember that probably the second or third sermon of it, I was up there and leading worship, and it was just me with an acoustic guitar. And then every single, like, all the power went out at the church, and I'm in the middle of leading. And I remember stepping to the side, and I just sang, at the time, How Great Is Our God had just come out. So I stepped to the side and I just sang that chorus. I didn't know what to do, right? Like, what's the most simple song I can think of? Like 250 students just start singing this song without any power. And they did it on purpose, and I had no idea. So it was his sermon illustration when he got up there to say like, what would you do if everything was in a row? I was so mad at him. I'm like, thanks for the heads up, man.
He
What have
threw
you?
the switch.
Yeah, he threw the switch. Yeah, his name was Michael Head, and that was his sermon illustration. I wonder what happens if we just shut this all off, and will we keep going, or will we be in disarray? And the whole room just kept singing. It was amazing, but yeah, life interrupted. I still remember that service.
Yeah, that made an impression.
It did make an impression. Yeah.
Probably on all those students too.
Yeah, I'm sure. And honestly, it's one of the beautiful things about traveling and going to different places, because I think there's also a different openness. Even when I'm in the churches that I'm in, when like people want to talk to me about some things that maybe they're going through, it's oftentimes a little bit more honest and authentic because they know that I'm not going to have to be there that next Sunday, right? So they can kind of process some things differently, especially when I travel and I work with worship teams, because when I'm working with musicians and they want to talk through some things that are maybe difficult, there's a different level of openness. That's really sweet, you know. I still love being in the trenches of ministry at my church week in and week out. I mean, we're there most weeks, but there's something special about kind of being the guy, or Deanna being the girl who can just come in and, you know, you get to know people for a couple weeks and listen, and it's fun. And I think that's even part of it. The guy is just like, well, here's a stranger who's not from here, and I can kind of share my heart. But yeah, I still can't even fathom or imagine like what that guy's been through. I mean, it was just heartbreaking. Yeah.
I read a lot of books, and it used to be people who were on trains for hours, and you'd see a stranger. In fact, when I was in Europe, you could do this. You just bring up something, and you'd never see him again. It was liberating.
Yeah.
Not even just a different country, but there used to be trains going all over the place.
Yeah.
Or buses, if you.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I'll do one more this morning. There's another one I've not done in a long time. One of my favorite stories about this song is I wrote this song purposely to be like every line to be "You're the God who," and to just remind us of the attributes of God. And I did this home show. It was like a home night of worship. I hooked up some lyrics to a TV. There's probably like 25 of us in a living room. We were in, is Granger where Notre Dame is? I think it was in the city where Notre Dame is at. I think it's Granger or that area, South Bend, Granger. Yeah. So Granger is is a suburb right outside of South Bend. So we were in Granger, Indiana. And I remember there was this little kid. You gotta love, little kids are just the most honest. He was maybe like 6 or 7. He was like, hey, you did that one song. It was like, "You're the God" song. He's like, you say that phrase a lot. Like, maybe if you didn't say "You're the God" so many times. It was awesome. It was so funny. And I was like, thanks, man. It was awesome. It was the best. So.
But he remembered it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he did remember. Yep, absolutely. Yeah. And you probably wouldn't be surprised at how many stories I could tell you that are really funny like that. I mean, I think that exact same trip we were doing, it was actually a big concert that had been promoted in the area and on the radio, and on a Friday night, and there's a countdown going, like a 5-minute countdown before we start. And this guy just walks on stage with a guitar and he's like, "Hey man, I'd love to open for you tonight." And I was like, "No, nope, I don't even know who you are." But I really appreciate it. You know, it was, I remember that was amazing. Then we met some missionaries after that night of worship, and 3 years later ended up in Greece doing ministry with them. Yeah, it was incredible. Yeah. All right. So,
Thomas, was his name Thomas?
we can't remember his name. Is that terrible?
This whole week we've been trying to guess him, figure out what his name was.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
the one that sent us and connected us. He didn't go with us. We met him that night, and then I just can't remember his name.
Yeah. So this song is called "You Are Good."
The God who never leaves it, the God who won't forsake us. You're the God who never changes, stay the same. You're the God who is provider, the God who parts the waters. You're the author and perfecter of our faith. You are good. You're infinite in power. space. You are good, and you're with us in this hour. You are good, and put your glory on display. You're the God who is pursuing, the God who is relentless. You're the God who opens hearts, the God who saves. You're the God who is creator, the God who reigns forever. You're Jesus, Son of God, who took our place. You are good, you're infinite in power. You are good, let your presence fill this space. You are good, yes, you're with us in this hour. You are good, you put your glory on display. We sing Hosanna, lift hallelujah. We sing Hosanna, lift hallelujah. We sing Hosanna, lift hallelujah. Yes, we sing Hosanna, lift hallelujah. And you are good, you're infinite in power. You are good, let your presence fill this space. You are good, you're with us in this hour. You are good, put your glory on display. We sing Hosanna, lift hallelujah. We sing Hosanna, and lift hallelujah.
All right, well, thank y'all so much. Yeah, thanks for letting me do this, and what a joy it's been here the last couple of weeks, and looking forward to this morning out there as well.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, thank